Welcome to another episode of Driving to the Res.
First hour.
Yes, first hour. With your favorite hosts, Inelia.
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 I did it right.
Yeah.
Inelia.
Inelia.
And Larry.
And Larry. And Larry.
Yes, you did it right.
And Larry.
It's kind of strange, isn't it? How hard it is for some people to pronounce your name.
Like you.
Like me.
Like for you.
Like pretty much everybody. Well, there's a few that don't.
No, actually, I've never. Everybody from Chile can pronounce it perfectly well.
So it's a learned thing. You're just used to hearing it, so you can say it. Maybe. It's
not a very common name, although it's getting more and more common these days. But it wasn't common when I was a kid. It took me about 3 years to learn it.
3 years to learn your own name?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to think about, that you know how long it took to learn your own name. And you can remember.
Why is it interesting?
Well, because for me and for most of the people that I know, they don't really have any recall of...
How long it took you to learn your name?
Yeah. Let alone the age that you wouldn't even know your name.
Oh, okay.
Or that you actually didn't even know your name.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember not knowing how to write it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I certainly don't remember not knowing it or how to say it and things like that.
How to say it properly.
Yeah. That's a different level of recall than most of us have.
I guess, yeah.
I sometimes wondered about that. Why is it that we forget
stuff?
Well, forget stuff in general, but we tend to think that we forget especially the stuff that we were young, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I've found as I get older, I've forgotten what I had for breakfast. The only way that I remember is I have the same thing.
Every day?
Yeah.
Yes, that helps.
But no, for serious. Why do you think that we forget our childhood? Why do we think we forget our pre-birth memories even?
I don't think that is an accurate statement. If you truth it, you find that it's not an accurate statement.
We don't actually forget?
No. You don't forget anything from any life or pre-birth or anything. In fact, you have actually stored every single millisecond of your present life and every other life you've ever had. However, we limit ourselves in what we can recall for some reason.
We, as in me?
Mm-hmm.
I would limit my own self?
Yeah.
Oh, why on earth would I limit my own self from remembering my own name that I didn't remember?
When you were a little baby?
Yeah. Why would I do that?
I think it has to do with the engagement of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a child, with the other children, they remembered everything too.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to an age where all of a sudden they started forgetting stuff. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. It's almost like they forgot who they were.
Maybe that's a clue.
Mm.
Because I do remember we were reading about pre-birth memories.
Oh, yes.
And we were reading about past life memory recall in younger children.
Yes.
And there was a certain age, something like 7 to 14, where past life recall, conscious recall, like meaning
they remembered it
like yesterday.
Yeah.
That level of recall vanishes in almost everyone by, I think, 14, and most everyone by 7 or something.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's one of those, it's pretty much
probably a rule of engagement.
The majority of people, right?
And I think it has to do with the indoctrination in schools as well. When children start school, or so many years of school, it's almost like their brains start switching off.
I imagine it might serve some purpose, right? For
like
how
I
your
said,
life
I think it's to
is
do
to
with
focus on your current life instead
exactly.
of trying to find the lost pieces of your past life.
Yeah.
That is an interesting part. Remember, actually, a lot of the children who have this recall are very agitated to try to find their stuff or their wife.
No, not everybody. Some of
Not
them.
everybody. I said some.
Some, yeah.
Some that have really good recall are obsessed to some degree with finding out. Well, I remember one story in particular. He was a movie producer in Hollywood, and he got born, and he was a baby, and he was telling his mom, "We need to go to my house. I need to get my stuff. All my stuff is in my house up there, and my wife's up there, and my piano's up there. I need to go get my stuff.
Yeah.
Because all of my stuff's up there, yeah."
Yeah.
Until a certain point.
And then it's gone.
Then it's gone, and then he could start focusing on being who he is now.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the words they used too, is I want to focus on who I am now. Maybe that's why we do it.
Yeah. And then with the recall stuff, when you go into regression, right, and you recall things in different lives, like you did last week. Right?
I know, that's a pretty impactful experience.
Yeah.
It hasn't exactly overtaken my life, but it's on my thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
And I have a small world that I used to live in that has gotten a bit bigger.
A little bit, huh?
Maybe a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Now
So can you tell me how it got bigger? What do you mean by that?
Well, before, my life was I, me, myself. I know it's surprising. Don't laugh. It's my socks and my shirt and my house, my car, my boots. There's a lot of my stuff, my thing, my this, my that. What's my mission? What's my purpose? What's my
Ascension
process?
process.
What's my best life? My best house? My best place to live?
Mm-hmm.
And then it got a little bigger. What's my and my wife's best place to live? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
My and my kids' best place to go to school.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So my life got mighty bigger.
When did that happen?
When I got married, then when I had kids. And then it kind of regressed at some point, because at one point my kids became their own people.
Yeah.
A little less interested in their dad, or a lot. Maybe a lot less interested in their dad.
Yeah.
They still like their dad fine.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as it was, which was your dad's the giant figure in your universe. Yeah. So my kids' XYZ became theirs. I guess that's sort of a separation, right?
Yeah, then it was all about them. I, me, and myself.
They took on their own I, me, myself stuff.
And then you disappeared.
Yeah. I've heard that you come back to importance later.
Maybe.
Could happen. Either way.
Has your dad become important to you yet?
Yeah, he became really important when he was sick, remember?
Oh, yeah, he did, yeah. But since then,
I try.
Yeah. You're in touch with him every week, that's for sure. Yeah. Sometimes every day, sometimes several times a day.
Sometimes.
Yeah. But he thought that our podcast was boring.
Yeah, he did. Which I guess in a way is a little bit telling, because he doesn't want to remember any of that stuff we were talking about. Yeah. And so exposure to it might...
It triggers I don't like this. And then you have to find the reason why. Yeah. Right? And then forget everything they heard.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
So it's a lot of work.
It's better just shut it off.
Yeah, just shut it off.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Talking about your hair too long. Yeah. So, obviously that bigger my was really just more of my I, me, myself.
Yes.
It wasn't really even you might think of it as an expansion of I, me, myself, but it's really just I, me, myself.
And all my
other stuff of myself.
Yes.
Right? So it's just
More
a bit
of an
more of
myself.
an I, me, myself.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
This is more, yeah, you're right.
This memory, this remembrance turned more, it's not my, it's our.
Mm.
It was our experience. There was more than one involved, and we're together, and we have a joint purpose. It's clear, it's defined, and it's not about, as far as I could tell, anything individual.
Mm. Do you mean not the previous life one, right? But the recall of the ET?
Yeah, the recall of the ET
part.
Right.
Yeah, visit to the ship.
The ship visit where we combed our hair backwards.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, in case you don't know what the heck I'm talking about,
just listen to last week's
listen to the episode
podcast.
before this episode.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be...
Two of them, actually.
Two of them?
No.
That very end of the two ago.
Yes.
We only talked for like 1 minute about it and left it with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
That you had to pay to hear the rest. And then we decided to have an hour that's 2 hours, and you don't have to pay. See what kind of people we are?
I know, because it's a sample. This is the stuff you're going to get for the second hour.
Right. Stuff
that might be 10 minutes, might be... No, it won't be every 10 minutes. But it might be an hour, it might be more than an hour, right?
It will get to completion.
It will get to completion. And then we have Ilie and Adelina to bounce ideas off with and get into more depth.
Get into depth about the kind of questions that our audience that's
interested in,
really charged, know what they're talking about, are interested and have researched these things.
It's really different to have a conversation with somebody who is informed, interested, interesting in these topics, right? Rather than talking to somebody who tells you...
What's a past life?
Yeah, what's a past life? And what is recall? What does that mean?
Yeah. You could have a different conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Skip over the preliminaries and get right into the
nice meat
and
potatoes.
Potatoes, as they say.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know, probably everyone knows who Ilie and Adelina are. But maybe not.
Of course.
Maybe not.
No, you don't think?
Because I remember when I found your work first, I didn't know who Ilie was. I thought Ilie was a different name.
You thought he was a girl, didn't you?
And I thought he was a girl, yeah.
Yeah. We used to call him Ilie.
Yeah, Ilie.
Not Ilie.
I didn't know there was such a name.
Yeah.
But
and you thought he was a girl. A lot of people thought he was a girl.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have his photo anywhere.
He had an invisible presence in a way, but his presence was felt because the website
did everything
worked.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But you didn't know who is
there
this
would be
mystery?
No presence on the
Who is
internet.
this mystery woman behind all of this? Named Ilie.
Yeah. And his wife Adelina.
Well, now it's Ilie and his wife Adelina, but who's Ilie?
Ilie?
Yeah. Who is he?
He's our co-creator. And Adelina is too. But Ilie...
what I mean is, where is he from?
Oh, he's from Romania.
What function does he serve? What function does he play in your business together? Things like that.
Yeah.
It's like, who's this mystery man that you're having a show with for an hour that we have to pay to listen to? See what I'm asking?
You're asking me right
now?
now?
I'm asking you.
Well, okay. I met Ilie in 2010, I believe, or 2011, something like that. 2010, maybe.
Around about when you did the Bill Ryan
yeah, because
interview?
he used to work for Bill Ryan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then I nicked him.
What?
He was the best person he had on his team website and forum and everything.
Oh, man.
Most intelligent, most gifted, most in what's it called? Integrity.
Mm.
So I nicked him.
Good job.
Thank you.
So he's the tech fairy and a business partner?
Yeah. Tech fairy and business partner, marketing partner. Yeah. There would be nothing on the internet without him. Let's just say that.
There would be nothing of
There'd
you.
be nothing. No.
Not even a Facebook page because,
Nope.
that went...
Dropped off. Yeah, dropped off.
Somebody selling marshmallows took it.
Yeah. Yeah,
in
they
India
hacked it.
In Pakistan or somewhere.
God
I don't
knows
know.
where, yeah.
I can't really read the numbers. Oh, man.
Yep.
I have Adelina, his wife. They took the instant manifestation workshop course with us, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're expert manifestors, instant manifestors.
Yes, they are.
Is that class closed now, or is that still open?
It's released every few months,
Mm-hmm.
or once a year maybe, or maybe once every 2 years. I can't remember. But it is released more than once, and there's a plan to actually release it in different languages also.
That'd be handy.
So, yeah, so, I think that Adelina and Ilie do bring a lot of value into these conversations. We can get into the depth of a topic much, much better because, like you said, we don't know what people want to know. But also, we're talking to individuals who are educated in these topics already.
Right.
They know what they're saying, what we're doing, they're using the tools. And, it's much, much better. Let's go back to
That was...
recall and...
Oh, back to me?
No.
Oh, come on, a little bit.
Come on. All right, okay. So you remember you had the regression and you went to 2 lives that were very fascinating. We talked a little bit about the one where you were a Native American. You're also Native American in this lifetime, but you're from a fishing village.
Yeah, fishing village.
Yeah.
Macaw,
and people, the
nearby.
Macaw. And in that one, that recollection,
It was like Lakota or some plains. I don't have the tribe for sure, but based on the word, pretty sure it was Lakota.
You brought in a word, and yeah. So, and then, of course, you had a different memory come in that we didn't actually talk about last week.
The Roman one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you want to talk about that one or no?
Well, I think it's an interesting story. I think we've talked about it a little bit before because we talked about our trip to Rome, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We did a cruise with Esther Hicks.
Yes.
Abraham Hicks or Esther. How does that work?
Abraham Hicks. Yeah. It's Esther Hicks is the channeler, and right. Abraham is the people that she channels.
Right. So I was always fascinated with her channelings.
Yeah.
I loved listening to her work when I was first learning about
stuff.
That there was more to the world than what I thought. It's like, what the heck is this? Yeah. Who's that and what's going on here? How in the heck did that happen and what the heck's going on? And then I listened more and more and I'm like, wow, that's stunning. Mm-hmm. And I was just amazed that someone would be able to tap into that level of knowledge about
stuff.
Everything. It's like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
So I think some time after that, I sort of stopped listening to it for a while. Mm-hmm. But I still had a favorite spot for it,
Yeah.
And we had come back from events in Europe, and I loved traveling Europe, but I missed out on some things.
Yeah.
Because we were on a work trip.
Yep.
And I had just met you. We just started our relationship.
Yeah, but that was the first trip, right?
That was the first trip, right? Yeah. And we worked.
Yeah, we did. We were working. We were doing an event there.
Right. So some of the things that I might have wanted to go see, we didn't because we were working.
Yeah. And
we were very busy, and we had things to do.
And we already had the whole itinerary sorted out for the events and stuff.
Right. Plus, the places that we went, they weren't on the Mediterranean.
No, they were not.
They were a little bit.
Seville was, but that was it.
Yeah. And the Mediterranean's always fascinated me. Mm. So when the opportunity came to take a cruise on the Abraham Hicks cruise, way back, that was a while ago. How many years? Like 4? 5?
Oh,
3?
it might have been 2016.
7, 8, 9, 20, 5 years ago-ish.
Wow.
Yeah. I asked you, I remember it was the funniest thing ever. I said, honey, would you go on a cruise with me? And you said something like, I don't really want to go on a cruise and hang out with a bunch of people that are drinking. On low frequency. I was like, how about a Abraham Hicks cruise? And he said,
Yeah.
I said, think about it. There'll be people who are actively working on raising their frequency of their knowledge and whatnot. They'll be pretty interesting people, I bet.
Yeah.
So you said, heck yeah, let's do it. So we did it.
We did.
Flew to Amsterdam, got on our giant recreational vehicle. It was like 1,000 foot long. For some reason, that 1,000 foot long RV, we only had a tiny little room.
Yeah.
Well, we had some big spaces too. A couple of chefs and all that.
Yeah. The food was good.
The food was good, and we kept getting presents in the morning.
Yeah, that was cute.
Remember on your pillow?
Yeah.
We get like a keychain said,
and a little bag.
the tree of life on it.
A notebook.
You make your own life.
That was really
empowerment stuff. It was excellent.
Yeah.
And
I
we
really
pulled
enjoyed
in
it.
all these little ports all the way down the Mediterranean.
And the lectures were quite fascinating as well. Because the consciousness that she brought in kept popping in and out, and there was other consciousnesses coming through that were not so high frequency, or she would misinterpret stuff. And every time that I used to whisper to you, she's actually not saying that right. It's actually not there, but here, or is she not? When she mentions that, it's actually this and not that. And the very next day, she would say it.
She would say what you said, which I thought was
hilarious.
Uncanny.
I've never seen anything like that before. It was really cool. So I was like, yeah, she's cool. She's listening. So we ended up in Rome.
Our last stop.
The last stop was
we
Rome.
traveled all of the Med, and I loved it. It was interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't super connect with all the places. I thought it was interesting to see. You wake up in the morning and you're on your giant ship, and it's all windows, and you're looking at every building, every structure is, foreign. Like it'd be all white, made out of that white stuff that covered all the buildings are made out of white stuff. What is that called?
I don't remember.
Adobe, or probably not Adobe. That's in the deserts of Arizona. Anyway, the Mediterranean has their structures made out of white plaster stuff. And I recognized, I felt familiar, and it was so foreign at the same time. It was a combination of both, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is nice, and what, this is so strange. And then the walls that we would walk over or through, you go through this gate or you go through the thing in the city, and the wall would be like 5 or 10 or 20 or 30 feet thick.
Yes.
To stop cannonballs, I guess.
Yeah.
And they still had them,
Yeah.
That was fascinating. And the chats with Abraham, they spiced the entire thing just the right amount of tourist and expansion and joining in.
But it's also the reason that attracted me to it, to the whole dynamic of that cruise, was that when you said, okay, so this ship can take 3,000 people, but 1,000 of them are working on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? They're working on their growth and empowerment. So that's 1/3 of these people are going to be interesting people, and they're probably not booze cruise, right? Mm-hmm. Just there to get drunk. Mm-hmm. I thought, yeah, that's a good point. That's why we went.
Yeah.
But yeah, they went off to have another event then in Rome, but we decided to stay in a little hotel.
Yeah.
And visit.
Wander the city aimlessly.
Yeah. Do a little bit of the tours. It was really cool. And it was on one of those tours that something really interesting happened.
Yeah, it was as we were walking around, I recognized my name, but I had no idea, who is this?
Yeah.
I mean, I knew this is me. This is my name. I don't know who that person is in history.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yeah. And the funniest thing about that was that she was talking about one of these guys that were in the history of Rome. Mm-hmm. And when she said the name, we both looked at each other with big eyes.
Yep.
And I said, oh my God, well, that was you. And you said, that was me. And then I said one name and you said a different name. And
Yep.
we were arguing about it because I heard one name and you heard a different name.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we Googled it, immediately we got into the internet to see what this person was.
Yeah, who is this?
He was actually called both of those
Both
names.
Actually, one name, and then the next name came.
Yes, it was more like a word.
Honorific or a title. Or
title, yeah. Honorary name, I think.
It's the name you assume.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Yeah,
so,
that was cool.
And the other really, really interesting, fascinating part about that, when we pulled up the page, was that there was a statue of him and some pictures of him and some face, whatever.
Busts
yeah.
Marble things.
And they were, identical to
same
you
face.
in this lifetime.
Yeah.
The same body, same face, everything was identical.
Yeah.
Even the height.
And then remember what, on a walkabout?
Yeah, then we went off on a walkabout.
Rambling around the city.
Yeah.
We saw the Colosseum or whatever that is with all the gladiator stuff and,
yeah.
The touristy things. And then we went off on our own.
Yeah.
And I just went and I walked and I felt
this way.
This way. Turn this way. Go this way.
Yeah.
I'm sure people who are listening, they've done that before.
Yeah.
I know I'm not the only one, especially in our kind of people.
Yeah.
It's like, where am I guided to go?
Exactly.
And I followed where I was guided. And when I got where I was guided, I was like,
what
is this? Because
years ago.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
Years ago, we were talking about where you wanted to be buried and what did you want your tomb to be like.
Yeah.
And you said you want a big circle made of stones on the edges with grass on top and trees all around it.
Yeah.
And then another structure in the middle.
Yeah.
And you gave a very detailed description of what you
quite
wanted.
Elaborate.
Very elaborate.
And pretty... And I haven't seen one.
We ended up in that location and that's exactly what was there. And the most fascinating aspect of that tomb was that it was in none of the touristy things. It was actually abandoned.
It was abandoned.
It was full of homeless people. And it just had a little plaque saying, this is the whatever it's called for this person. And we were like, what? How is that even possible?
And when you look at how it is...
It's unique. Nobody else was like that.
I still haven't seen one since like that.
Oh, there isn't, because we searched it. And everybody else had really fancy towers and, all sorts of things, but not like there's
not a mountain made of trees with a ring around it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Made of stone.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre. Bizarre construction. Unique.
Very unique.
Absolutely unique.
Yeah. You can't make this stuff up, man.
Yeah. You already knew and then you found it.
Yeah.
And you were walked to it and guided to it. Those
and you were like, why is it abandoned? Why is the homeless people here?
Somebody needs to clean this and fix this up.
I know. It's like everything else.
Well, they have since then.
Yeah, they have?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes. They have cleaned it, fixed it, prettied it up, made it look nice like it's supposed to.
Oh my God.
And opened it up so you can visit it, yeah.
Wow.
You can't have that stuff wasting away, honey. It's valuable.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a semi-conscious recall. I didn't recall as I'm sitting here remember, yesterday then I did this, but I recalled the name, I recalled the places, and I recalled the things that I had built and what they looked like.
Yes.
So, good connection. Good, you get pulled and you drawn and you just know, but you don't know how you know.
Mm-hmm.
A bit strange. So that's almost like the regression was.
Right.
I would, in the regression, get put in a theta state, or guided to a theta state, and then I would say things that I just knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird.
Yeah.
And so I came up with some more details of some of my life then.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the more memorable moments to me personally.
Right, memorable.
And some of them were, most of them were constructions.
What do you mean by, like things that you built?
Well, I like to tell Fred they're not things that I built. The things that I had built.
Yeah, you paid for.
Yeah, I don't want to build them.
Oh, right. Yeah. No. That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what he meant too. But the distinction is
It's
important
subtle
to
but
me
important. Yeah.
because my recall isn't that I built it. I had it built.
Yes, you had
or
it built.
caused it to be built.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. Yeah.
Right.
So I searched for those structures as I recalled them and what they were for and the important bits of them, and they appear. And I found them. They're still here and still standing proud.
Yeah.
Well, all but one. One of them's been rebuilt here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Excuse me for a second. Got a little bit spiked today.
Uh-oh.
Haven't quite. I was having a shower and thinking about it, and I was trying to wash them off,
Mm-hmm.
I need to gargle some of my silver water. But I realized I had a thought in my head. I know I jumped around. Just give me the benefit of the doubt here for a second. I thought the spikes were making me sick, but it's my body's reaction to trying to flush those that I'm feeling.
Yes.
It's not the things making me sick. It's I'm trying to flush them and they're flushing out my throat.
The toxins, yeah.
So they must flush out by breath or something?
The coughing and the reaction that your body has is to exude it, to push it out. And that's uncomfortable.
Yep, it is.
Yeah.
And irrefutable. I don't care what you think. I have experienced it way too many times. Exactly the same
Yes.
response from people that I know have, gotten their shot and they're creating spikes.
Tons of shots and
They're
stuff.
creating tons of spikes.
They are. They're creating them.
And our bodies are
More sensitive.
very good at knowing it's time to get rid of them. Don't keep them, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway.
We'll talk about
I have
that a little bit more around those things in the second hour.
Yeah, that's a good second hour topic.
Yeah.
We could talk about that, some Canadian truckers, and fuel can, the new Canadian Ottawa fuel can backpack. They made a backpack out of them now.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm sure I'll find out.
If you remember in the second hour to ask me, I'll tell you all about the new Ottawa backpack.
Okay.
Oh, well. Back to past life memory.
Yeah.
So, the filling in of some of the details, the knowing where to look to find, kind of was nice. It kind of expands the life. But at the same time, it was a different life. I still am this life.
Yeah.
That was a different life. One of the things that I was asked in Telegram too, which was, I think Mike was asking, his impression of past life, present life, current life, they're not restricted to a linear type of experience. In other words,
did you read my answer?
I didn't read your answer.
You didn't?
No. Could you tell me your answer?
Okay, so can you explain what his viewpoint was first?
Well, his viewpoint was he thought when you died in your soul body, you could come back in another life, and it doesn't matter what time. So you could come back 1,000 years ago life. But the way that he understood from episode 97's conversation, I don't remember exactly what that was, but basically that past and present and current lives were experienced in a linear fashion, and you got to go in order. So if you planned 5 lives, they would be you would do first and then second life and then third life and then fourth life and then fifth life. You didn't do third life, then jump to the first one, then skip to the fifth one, then back to the second one. You wouldn't go out of order. You would do them in order. And his impression was that you could do them in whatever order you want. You don't just get stuck with doing it in order.
Right.
So I don't know what the answer is.
So my answer to that. Are you ready for it?
Okay.
So my answer to that is basically, there's 2 parts to the answer. One is, if you have a life go back to the past, the unfortunate thing is that you do bring in information from previous lifetimes into this one. And it's whenever I look at people's previous lifetimes, I'll ask for significant lifetimes that are, you bring in those memories to affect you in this one.
Ones that are significant to this one.
Yes. So information or data or personality or whatever experiences that you had in a previous lifetime that will be useful in this one for whatever experiences or whatever goals or missions you came here to do. Those are the ones you're going to recall, mostly. And you can't bring one from the future because it messes up the game. Now, here's the second part to all this.
Okay.
You're in a divine eternal being, you're not limited. So you actually have all of your lives at the same time. There's no linear time. It doesn't exist. It's a conceptualization. Okay?
Right.
So they all happen at the same time, but you choose your limits. You choose to experience this lifetime linearly from the past to the future. And so do you choose to do that with all of your lives. You choose to have a recall or an awareness of your lives from the deep past into the present, into the future. That's how you choose it. But that's not how it happened. Right? Do you see?
Yep. I kind of remember this coming to my awareness. I think it was in Dr. Ibn Alexander's book when he was experiencing his near-death experience and his recall of it. One of the things was that when he got to a space where I guess in his words, his soul family gathered together and they went to a group and they started to gather all of their life experiences into a shared group life experience puddle or something, or pod or something like that. At some point, I think in some point in that book, I could have it wrong, but I think the experience was all of our lives, of all of our soul family, and all of everyone was available as one now, all for everything. It all happened. I think it was in there, which is a little bit like what you said, if I understand it right.
I think what you're describing is the state of oneness.
Maybe that.
Which is all things and all time, right? All things and all time. Or perception of time. Because what is time? Then we have into that discussion again. But yeah, so the linearly of it is your own chosen perception of it. But no, you don't go back and forth and left and right and up and down. You don't.
You had them all.
You had them all. There is no up or down or back or forth or, But we choose to have an experience of physicality that is linear from past, present, and to the future. That's what we choose.
Here
the
now.
Perception. Yes,
here
it's
now.
a perception.
Because in other not here nows, we might experience them differently, or what?
Yeah.
I guess we're able to experience them however we want to, really.
Yeah. So I'm interested.
So this is one of the cabbages?
Yes. Okay. So do you want to explain? Now you have to explain what a cabbage is.
You can go the second hour, and if Ilie asks, I'll explain the whole cabbage thing.
Okay. All right. I'm interested to know from that Roman experience what energies or memories or knowledge or what is it that you feel is relevant or interesting or useful in this life for you as Larry?
Certainty and surety that the guidance or decisions or choices that I can make for not just me, myself, the smaller me, but for a larger me, a me that includes millions of people even.
Yeah.
I can make those decisions and know with certainty and surety that the consequences long term are great, excellent, world altering and shattering, changing, and nice, not bad. Good job. I know that if I built a house, I can build another one.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one is going to be even simpler. And the fourth one, even easier than that, right?
And by building a house, you mean you get people to build it for you?
Well,
Or
no,
is
that's
it
not what
symbolic?
I mean specifically. What I mean is that the first time you do something,
Yeah.
you know, you have to think about the whole thing. It's like first time you drive a car, it's like you got to push that pedal and that's the brake. Push that pedal and that's the gas.
Yeah.
And while you're pushing that pedal, this thing over here is the shifter.
Mm-hmm.
You have to push that pedal over there, that's the clutch. And then you have to steer and watch the signs and look at the lights. And look at there's people over there and there's a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty soon you've got your bandwidth full.
Yeah.
Meaning I have the gas pedal pushed and I'm steering and the light's changing and I don't have the bandwidth to move my foot to the brake because I'm trying not to go off the road. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first time you drive is a little bit like that. That's why you only go 1 mile an hour.
Right.
And then when you do push the brakes, guess what you do?
You push it really
You
hard.
slam them.
Yeah.
That always happens.
Yeah.
So that's first time driving. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Of course, you get better. Pretty soon, you can drive from here to 10,000 miles, 5,000, whatever, however far. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it doesn't even stress you out.
You don't even know. You probably can't even remember looking at the road half of the time.
Yep.
You're just on, do it. So this is that, in a sense. The recall of that life is a life that you've gotten to the expert of building a house, expert of driving your car, expert of creating civilization.
So it's a creator of civilization?
Right.
Okay.
So the rules, the boundaries, the structure, the how, the who, the sharing, the planning for the future, past your life. You can make a durable structure that carries high frequency. And you know that you can do it.
And how are you or have you used that in this lifetime? Or will you use it?
I did. There's a difference between this life and that life in the frequency of me here and who I'm with and the frequency of those around me. So it was successful. It was peaceful. It didn't start out peaceful. I mean, you gotta crack some eggs to make a cake and all that. There was a time, and for the time, let's just say that for the time, it was extraordinarily peaceful once it was established.
Once established, yeah.
Right, but it was a structure that required power over others.
Yes.
Right. So since that time, I've tried to create along the same lines without the power over others involved. Unfortunately, it wasn't very successful because everyone in it was playing power over other games.
Right.
So they're not compatible.
Right.
But that experience of doing it and watching and seeing how it functioned, it did illuminate. You have to be you cannot create without consideration for who's in it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Who it is that you're building with. That's the most important thing to not miss.
Right.
So, since then, together we've created a few things that do or don't. I don't know about the power over others part of it. It's like not exerting any power over others, but at the same time, it's in a world that's just trying to move into the power over other stuff too, right?
How is it moving into the power over other stuff?
Well, because all of us who are here now have been existing in the light-dark real.
Yeah.
We came to raise the frequency, we came to move into light, all those things, but we have legs in both places. And many of us, myself included, spent the vast majority of our life in the light-dark, dark-light, dark-dark, light-light, dark-dark, dark-dark, light-light, dark, dark, dark. very, very mixed up.
Yeah.
Not sure what the hell. I mean, what the heck?
Uh-huh.
What's going on here? So we're conceptualizing a new paradigm.
Yes.
Creating it. And seeing how and what is included in it, and how and who do you include in it, and how does it work? And right now it's like learning how to drive, because nobody remembers consciously what light reality is, because the only conception that we have is a light dark conception of what a light would be.
Right.
So bringing about that memory, which is the memory of what a light reality is going to be, what it is, without using light dark as the framework to conceptualize with it.
Right.
I'm not sure where we're going to get, how we get to that, but one of the things that I remember we did try or did do, which was the Lemurian portal, and try to connect with the Lemurians who are existing in that light.
Yes.
And see if we can bridge that a little bit. So
right.
Maybe it's something to revisit. I don't know. Those are the things that comes to mind to the answer to the question. I think that past life gives me a feeling of certainty and surety that I'm capable, and I don't have. It's not the first time. It's not my first rodeo.
It's not your first rodeo.
Not my first rodeo. I can get on that horse. I could ride that horse.
Creating social structures and countries.
Right. So, does that answer?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
What kind of a sense do you get?
I see it as a theoretical something, but I wanted to see if you felt there was any actual examples of it being used in this lifetime, like not just I have the data, information, and I know what we should do, or that it's possible to do it, but actually
you embody it. You are embody it. And well, I remember one time specifically, I was sitting in a tribal council, and I was after a yes to a thing.
Okay.
And I was talking, and at one point I shifted out of me, and I shifted sort of to the side, and I became another me. And I was talking, and I watched everybody going out. They were like going out, going out, going out, going out.
What do you mean by going out?
What I meant was their eyes glazed over, and they moved into an altered state.
Oh, cool.
And when they came back, they all said yes.
That's brilliant. So when did that happen? Do you remember?
What year?
Yeah.
It was 2000 maybe.
Yeah.
2010.
And what do you think happened then?
Well, I stopped. I stopped trying to convince of anything, I think, and I just embodied that energy of that life, actually. I felt like I was doing what I had already done. I kind of, this is how you do it, this is what you say, this is how you say it. Allow 5 minutes of this, and then they'll say yes. Kind of like that,
Brilliant. I like it.
So the recall helps with that embodiment, knowing what that embodiment even is, instead of it being a nameless don't know what sits.
Yeah.
It also answers some of the questions. Sometimes I wonder why, like when I was applying to get a job as a waiter.
Yes.
In Los Angeles.
When you were 17.
Yes. And I went to my interview, and I dressed up in normal clothes, and I sat down to get interviewed, and they said, well, we have waiter jobs open, but we need a manager. Will you be a manager? I was like, I haven't worked in a restaurant ever, but sure. I can handle that, no problem.
Yeah.
And so I got hired for a manager job instead.
Yeah.
And these are big restaurants. They're not little ones.
No, I
One
used
of
to go
the
to those.
largest ones in West
Yeah.
Hollywood,
Yep.
and you know, giant
Yeah.
business. So it kind of like, why would people do that? And I wasn't even 21, and I went to apply for a job at a little cruise ship.
Mm-hmm.
Carries 100 people or so.
Mm-hmm.
And they hired me as chief steward. I have never even worked on a cruise ship. And I was the chief steward.
Yeah. It's like people can recognize it almost. They can feel it and recognize that leadership essence.
Something about that. And I thought...
They feel safe in your hands, I suppose.
Maybe so, yeah. Well, it was intangible. And it always surprised me. It was like, well, yes, of course, but why are you offering me that job? It doesn't make logical sense.
Did it have an effect on your career in the Coast Guard?
Well, see, that's a special one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the military is very, very effective at squashing things and molding you into the thing that they want you to. Yeah. The mind control techniques that they use, the
brainwashing.
It's trauma-based mind control.
Yes.
And the trauma is induced by the drill constructors and all of the things that make humans, a tribal human, do. They use those as levers. So like you're holding everybody back and then everybody blames you or, you know, whatever. So you need to do, let's say, for example, everyone who wants to graduate has to do 10 pull-ups. Mm-hmm. And some people can already do 10 and some people only do 1 or 2. But instead of going to the gym and everybody exercise, it's like, let's walk in a straight line. Okay, you walked crooked in that straight line, so everybody has to do 20 pull-ups.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't... So you're saying that in that career you did not feel that energy come through and for it to be recognized by those people?
No, what I felt was I understand and see what's going on and I can step into that role if I turn off my brain, in a sense, and become a robot who functions and does the stuff I know how to mold into it. So I guess it did happen. No, it happened, but it happened differently. How? Because this was the military part of it. Mm-hmm. I had no way of knowing ahead of time that's what was going on, you know, that we just need to do 10 pull-ups, but we're using a psychological game to trauma mind control everyone.
Yes.
I didn't know how I knew that. Uh-huh. I didn't read about boot camp before I went to boot camp. I watched movies, but they don't tell you that stuff.
Right.
So I guess it did come in there. When I was in the Coast Guard...
In what way did it come in?
Well, I already knew how to be regimental.
Oh,
that's what I
know. That reminds me, because I have, my soul part has not had any incarnations on Earth or anywhere actually.
Right.
But my physical body elemental has had multiple lives, and a lot of those lives were with you. Mm-hmm. And when you said regimental or whatever, I remember we were walking somewhere, I can't remember where it was, and then suddenly the ground and the air and it was kind of misty morning or something, and we were holding hands in this lifetime, and I was pulled back in a total recall of a previous life, that lifetime that you were talking about, and I was holding your hand, but I was a little boy.
Oh, wow.
A little boy, and you were holding my hand because I was like a little brother or a son or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. And you were like, you know, going to your kind of friends because you were just like 14 or something. Very, very young, but it was already in a military type environment, right? So there was lots and lots of men of different ages, young and old or whatever, and we were walking among them, and I was so proud because my big brother, he's a he was the boss of everybody, but you weren't, right? And then we got to this place. It was like tents or something, and massive ones where everybody was sleeping in there. But even though you went in there and you were sharing it with all these other men, you had a special place in the tent because you were somebody's son or whatever's favorite, somebody's favorite.
Yeah.
Son adopted, or I don't know what it was, but it was like, yeah, they were your friends and you grew up with them and you knew them as Romans, you knew each other, but everybody knew that you had a different path in the future, right?
Right.
And for me, it was like a little kid, and it was a very special day. I get to spend the day with you, and it was like a treat, It wasn't like I was going to stay there or anything. And all the other old guys, which were like probably other 14-year-olds, I don't know, what are different ages, right? And real men, like older men, treating me like a little soldier and stuff, giving me weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I remember, and then like the recall came really fast. It was the full day, and ended with the little body, exhausted and falling asleep and had been carried away, like back to their parents or whatever.
Well, that energy of that life in that space, I remember several remarkable things that I was stunned at my own experience of. Mm-hmm. One of them was that I graduated the whole time of boot camp without any demerits.
Oh, from this lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much
impossible.
So
you knew the score, you know how to function within that.
I knew how to function in that regiment to the very place, having had zero experience of it.
Yeah.
I mean, absolutely opposite of it. Not once have anything to do with any of that, right?
Right.
No ROTCs in high school. No boot camp or child boot camp. Nobody in my family talking or knowing about our shit.
Oh, your dad did that.
But he didn't say anything about it.
He told you to be invisible, didn't he?
He said don't volunteer for anything, but that's not bad advice, and I didn't follow it. But
yeah,
it's good advice in normal sense.
Yeah.
But the demerits thing, everyone gets some. They all get some. Everyone, because there's literally zero way that you can have everything perfect all the time.
Right.
But having everything perfect all the time is the impossible. Mm-hmm. But there is something else that's possible.
Being invisible.
Something cannot notice very much more valuable than being perfect of everything at all the time.
Yeah.
Because, we were at the level of absurdity that there's little threads on your clothes. Then the sewers were done sewing. There's like a little bit of thread left.
Yes.
And there's on every button and every seam and every end of every sewing bit. Yeah. And you had to go with your clippers and clip every single of those. They called them Irish pennants.
Yeah.
Everyone off of all of your clothes. Uh-huh. But by moving, you make new ones.
Oh, no.
So it's literally zero chance you're going to get them all every time. And all you got to do is look at anybody and you can say, oh, there's one. There's one. And that's after you've gotten rid of them all. Yeah.
Wow.
And your shoes had to be shined, and your uniform had to be perfect, and you had to be marching right. And there's the impossibility of it's an impossible task, which is the trauma part.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But if you're invisible and they can't see you,
it doesn't
no
matter.
Trauma.
Right.
I did manage to put myself into some trauma so that I could have the full meal deal. Because it's hard, but you know how I like a hero's journey.
Yes.
So I did the hero's journey of boot camp by getting all 4 of my wisdom teeth taken out with a chisel and a hammer.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That was a good challenge.
Oh my gosh.
Because you couldn't stand up without your face going boom, boom, boom.
My gosh.
And they wanted you to push ups and run in and all that and take your tests. I managed.
You managed to do it.
I managed to get through it.
To traumatize yourself. In your own terms.
In all ways, excellently. Truly. But I didn't recognize it for what it was until looking back on it, talking it with you. Because that's why. And there's no reason for me to be excelled at that, any of those things. Because I didn't have any experience of that.
Right.
I'm not born to be. Well, that's the thing. I was born already with that. I already have that.
Yeah.
That's already a part of me.
Yeah.
So, interesting. So what I see by experiencing this and talking about this with you is that when it comes time for this energy to present itself, it will. And it will be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will come right to me.
That's good.
And I can feel sure and certain.
Yeah.
And a light world is going to be a pretty cool experience, let me tell you. We got some good plans.
That is brilliant.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, do you feel complete, honey?
I do.
Brilliant.
I mean, I think I actually, here's what I feel.
Okay.
I feel like I've choked off a lot of what I want to say because this doesn't feel like the right space.
Right. The public
share
space
it.
is not quite.
It's just a bit too public.
Yeah.
So in the second hour, I'm going to name names.
Oh.
Not just
right.
skirting around the thing. I'll just
Yes.
name names,
Okay.
This is who it was. This is when it was. Here's the things.
And we can
stuff.
also talk about the ship.
Oh, yeah.
The ship.
Although,
I think we've talked about that one before.
yeah,
Several
you blew
times.
up my ship.
I blew up your ship.
You blew up my ship.
Oh my god, I did not.
Well, you, maybe not, but you sure did. Oh my gosh. Okay, honey.
Okay, honey.
I love you.
I love you too.
For the second hour, go to Subscribestar and do a search on Inelia Benz. Subscribe and you'll be able to get the second hour of this podcast. Otherwise, if you're in Walk With Me Now, you will be seeing the second hour before everybody else. It'll be posted on our forum and sent on a newsletter to all Walk With Me Now members. See you in the second hour.